Training goals. A lot of people are attempting to achieve a certain goal or achieve a certain look in their training, but they're approaching their exercise the completely wrong way. The thing is, if you're a newbie to the gym, if you're an amateur, you're not sure what you're doing, you're going to be sold an exercise program, most likely based off TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. And you're going to be listening to these words from trainers that are going to hit all the pain points that you're suffering from. Do you want to lose some fat? Do you want to build some muscle? Are you lacking confidence? Would you like words from trainers that are going to hit all the pain points that you're suffering from? Do you want to lose some fat? Do you want to build some muscle? Are you lacking confidence? Would you like to look good in the... And then you're going to be left feeling like a failure. What did you do wrong? Because other people in the gym have they got a goal, they've done everything they wanted. How come that didn't happen for you? And what you've got to understand is, depending on whether your goal is fat loss, whether it's strength, whether it's muscle building, it's going to determine how you need to approach your exercise. Most people I know want to lose fat and they want to build some muscle. And the fitness industry is pushing HIIT training and though that short, high intensity interval training type thing, which by the way, I love, I do it here all the time, but I don't do it with the idea of burning fat. Because burning fat, that is not the optimal way to burn fat. When you go up to the level of heart rate you're going into in the level of the anaerobic exercise area or a higher intensity type training, you're going to be burning more carbs and fat. To burn fat in a steady state, slow, easy cardio. That's why walking is such a great way to burn fat. Another way to burn fat, simply go into a calorie deficit. But most people are attributing the weight loss to the exercise programs. And the exercise program is probably going, out of maybe 5%, possibly maybe 10, I doubt it though, probably 5% of your overall fat loss. The majority will come from the calorie deficit and then the slow, steady state cardio like walking. This is the whole thing of the fitness industry. They group together or clump together these ways of exercising and they don't subdivide it into realities for most people. And most people just want to look a bit better. They want to put on a wee bit of muscle, or as they would say, tone up and have a bit more confidence. And that is not a very hard thing to achieve if you adhere to what you're meant to do about 80% of the time. See, this is the whole thing. A lot of people in their training goals, they strive for perfection. If you adhere to what you're meant to be doing 80% of the time, you're going to get results. But you're going to have to make friends with the fact it's not going to happen in 6 weeks. It's not going to happen in 12 weeks. It's going to take a minimum of 6 months of consistent effort to make inroads in your fat loss and your muscle building journey. But when you make peace with that and you just embrace it, what you'll find is the mindset starts to change, because in the beginning, everything you're basing your opinions off is the current version of you. The man or woman who sees exercise as a chore can only think back to the failure experiences, and they've never really had that feeling of this can be successful or I can achieve this. So the unconscious mind is just telling you don't do it again because it doesn't want you to feel that feeling again. And you're fighting against your own mind to get yourself to do something that you're committing to do. And this is where the disconnect happens for a lot of people, because you're doing it, but you're doing it from the mindset of like a child being made to do the dishes. It's a chore. So I've got to go training. And instead of that, I've got to go training. Why not change it to I get to go training? Because I know a lot of men who don't get to go training now. Their health has prevented them from training to the point where they're just giving up on themselves. You get to go training. When you go training, we almost subdivide ourselves, it becomes like a conflict between ourselves. That voice you're talking to, you identify it as someone else. Your body is not yours. You know, fuck, why? Do you ever hear the way guys talk? Fuck's sake, why can't you just do that? Talking to themselves, no, you bastard, why you... We fight against ourselves. There's an ego within us all. And that ego doesn't want to accept limitations or failure. Or respect the fact that your body's just tired. You see, a lot of men come into the gym and it's almost like, women do it as well, but mainly men I see, it's a punishment. It's not only a chore, but it's a punishment. It's a way to validate your lack of self-worth. And it's really unconscious in guys and they don't see it. But because I'm around them all the time and I have trained so many men, you see the patterns and the conversations. There's a familiar theme. There's this thread that runs through them all, and it's similar energy. And it's very easy to start making, there, that's a similarity. Similarity, and you can see it all happening. And every man thinks his story is unique, and it is because he's a man and he's own experience. But the energy and the theme and the fear, it's all similar. And this is where men need to get. They need to get to that point where they can just actually realize it's all right. And it's not about... Your first goal is to remove that barrier of this is a chore. Exercise is a phenomenal way for men to give themselves a sense of purpose. It creates discipline. Men are naturally hierarchical. We're disciplined. You know, we're structured. And men do... We may fear it because it's so uncomfortable, but we thrive in it. When men have got structure, the natural instinct within us all sort of... It's why soldiers, you know, are men. I'm not being sexist there, but men work like orders and we do things, you know, it's just like get it done, we're doers. And men have disconnected themselves from who they are. There's a battle, like I said, there's a conflict going on between yourself and yourself. Somehow you identify two people or three people. You know, it's weird what happens. But you need to learn to connect. It's like I tell the guys doing kettlebells, when we do high repetition stuff, so at the moment, we're near the end of this program here, and today they're finishing the high sets. So they'll have done, 5 sets of 20-20 snatching, kettlebell snatching, straight into 5 sets of 10-10 mace bells. So 200 snatches and 100 mace bell 360s. That's tiring. That's exhausting. And what you'll find is when you're doing these exercises, you start, oh, fuck this kettlebell. And I try to tell guys, understand that if you try to connect with the kettlebell and it's instead of going into battle with the kettlebell, and this is what I do when I was doing the GS sport, I tried to make the kettlebell my partner. And I would talk to it because you'll find yourself in those depths of suffering. You will have an internal dialogue going on in your mind. And it's very hard to be consciously aware of what you're saying in those moments. But I can pretty much guarantee 99% of men, when they're in these moments of like struggle and difficulty where you're being challenged, the conversation is very negative. It's self-depreciating. It's, you know, oh, fuck you, Jesus, fucking come on, get this done. Or I'll call guys out and I'll see them, they're just rushing through 10 reps just to get, because it's like, okay, lads, we've got 15 sets, we've got 5 sets of 15 clean and press, and they'll just see them bombing through the 15, and they're like having a stroke standing up because they've no control, because they're no longer thinking about the reps, they're thinking about getting it done. And I always correct them and I say, lads, listen, see, instead of thinking you've got 15 reps to do, try to think you've got 15 opportunities to do the perfect rep, because you want to make it that every rep you do is so uniformed. Because this is the problem guys don't understand. This is the journey. This is why it doesn't happen in 6 weeks. This is the connection, the understanding that every rep you have is an opportunity for you to become better. I can do the same number of reps as you, but if mine are sloppy as fuck and the reps, the weight isn't correct and I have no control, I have no focus in my mind, the intention isn't there, but you have, and you are so focused and you're picking the weight that you know that you're going to have to use, even though it's going to bring you to a place you don't want to go, and you're going to focus on every single part of that rep being perfect, and you're going to try to replicate, not you're going to try, you're going to practice so much that it becomes your habit that you're going to replicate every rep identical regardless of how fatigued you are. Because if you look at the greats in any sport, the high repetition stuff like kettlebell sport or whatever, their last rep, even though they're suffering, their last rep is identical to their first because they have honed that skill and they're using the whole body as a unit. And this is something, this is a beautiful segue, and this is the other thing. When it comes to training, a lot of guys want to build muscle like bodybuilders, but then they'll come in and do kettlebells. Now listen, I am a kettlebell head. I don't really give a fuck about the physique. To be like a bodybuilder or a physique athlete isn't really, it's not beneficial to me in any sense. I am a 47-year-old man. I'm a dad of two. I like grappling. I like lifting heavy stuff. Outside, I'm going to be moving things. So for me, I train for that purpose. That's my intention. Kettlebells are a phenomenal tool to teach the body how to move as a single unit, to generate the most force, and then strength, endurance, the ability to continue that rep or continue those reps with that certain weight, because you're going to have a lot of high volume in kettlebell training. And kettlebell training, that's why for women I think kettlebell training is amazing, because it's you don't use a heavy weight, you build up to using heavy weights, but as you build up those heavy weights, your body's adapting. But when you think about what volume is the total tonnage you will have moved in the entire workout. So if I take 100 kg and I lift it once, I have moved 100 kg of volume. If I do 10 reps at 100 kg, that's a ton of volume. If I do 3 sets of 10, that's 3,000 kg of volume, you understand? So the volume I'm lifting. So it allows me, under that principle, now you'll hit the muscles differently, which is what most women want. They want higher sort of toned muscles, I would say. A lighter bell to get that type of tonnage requires a lot more reps, which requires a lot more movement. The body working as unison. You're going to be doing a lot of repetitive stuff. The muscles are going to be not subject to massive load, but they will start fatiguing because of the endurance aspect of it, which means you're going to burn more calories, etc., etc. So there's different ways of training, and it's understanding what your goal is and why you're wanting to do it. You will have an internal dialogue going on in your mind, and it's very hard to be consciously aware of what you're saying in those moments, but I can pretty much guarantee 99% of men, when they're in these moments of like struggle and difficulty where you're being challenged, the conversation is very negative. It's self-depreciating. It's, oh, fuck you, Jesus, fucking come on, get this done. Or I'll call guys out and I'll see them, they're just rushing through 10 reps just to get, because it's like, okay, lads, we've got 5 sets of 15 clean and press, and they'll just see them bombing through the 15, and they're like having a stroke standing up because they've no control, because they're no longer thinking about the reps, they're thinking about getting it done. And I always correct them and I say, lads, listen, see, instead of thinking you've got 15 reps to do, say, try to think you've got 15 opportunities to do the perfect rep, because you want to make it that every rep you do is so uniformed. Because this is the problem guys don't understand. This is the journey. This is why it doesn't happen in 6 weeks. This is the connection, the understanding that every rep you have is an opportunity for you to become better. I can do the same number of reps as you, but if mine are sloppy as fuck and the reps, the weight isn't correct and I have no control, I have no focus in my mind, the intention isn't there, but you have, and you are so focused and you're picking the weight that you know that you're going to have to use, even though it's going to bring you to a place you don't want to go, and you're going to focus on every single part of that rep being perfect, and you're going to try to replicate, not you're going to try, you're going to practice so much that it becomes your habit, that you're going to replicate every rep identical, regardless of how fatigued you are. Because if you look at the greats in any sport, the high repetition stuff like kettlebell sport or whatever, their last rep, even though they're suffering, their last rep is identical to their first because they have honed that skill. The cost of basic setup of kettlebells, that's how long is a piece of string. I always tell beginners, guys, 12, 16 and 20, maybe 16, 20, 24, depending on where you are. Girls, 6, 8, 12, 16, something like that. And that will get you started. But again, what are you going to do? What are you using it for? Obviously, I'm not being insultive here, but you're asking me the basic setup for kettlebells. That tells me you don't know how to use kettlebells correctly, or you haven't used, I don't know how much it costs, buddy. Who knows? That's your job to go and research that. This thing called Google, go on to it, eBay, type in kettlebells and look at the prices. All kettlebells are not equal. I would only buy competition bells personally, but that's because I'm a kettlebell junkie and I need familiarity, and the competition bells allow for the same size, whether it's an 8 kilo or an 80 kilo, the bell's the same size, so it'll sit in the same position. But some people like training bells because maybe you're just going to be doing goblet squats and two-handed swings, and that would be a better suited for a training bell. So that's what I'm saying, it's fine, and I get what you're saying, there's ambition there and there's drive, I want to do something. But I'm telling you right now, if you're putting cost as your limiting factor, and some people have to, I get that, but if you're putting cost as a limiting factor, you're probably not going to get the results you want. Ultimately, I tell guys, like, why fork out for the world's most expensive doorstops, which is what most people have kettlebells for? Because COVID just done that for people, Why would you do that when you could join a gym with kettlebell coaches in it and see if you're into it, see if it floats your boat? Because a lot of people see Instagram and it looks sexy and cool. That looks like great. The sweat them boys. But then they do it and they're like, fuck, man, this kills my back. Shit. And then you make sure you find a good trainer, by the way, because not all kettlebell coaches are equal either. And kettlebells will fuck your back up if you're doing it wrong. That's one of the things. But for most people, it's not the kettlebell hurts your back, it's your technique, it's hurting your back. But I would advise that. I'd advise go get a trainer, go find a gym, and go learn. You're 63, 100%, go and find a gym. In fact, go and find a very good kettlebell coach, do your research, find someone who's, I suppose, RKC or Strength Matters or Strong First certified. But if they're wearing khakis and calling you comrade, walk out, because they're not. They're just in the cult. But yes, it's understanding what your goals are. When you can understand what it is you want, you're then going to be in a better position to find the training modality that's going to best suit you to achieve these goals. If you're a beginner, trust me, it doesn't matter what you do, everything works. In the beginning, everything will work. You're moving the body more than you have. Therefore, your muscles will start growing. You will burn some calories because you're expanding more, because you're moving more. But that will soon plateau. And you will also be sucked in by the gimmicky sales pitches of other gyms who are using Dolores, who's 49 and lost 5 kilos in our 6-week program because Dolores sat on her hole eating quality street for the last 40 years of her life answering phones. And then she decided, because she was nearly having a stroke, that she was going to start doing something. And all of a sudden Dolores was focused, and Dolores was given a calorie restricted diet that was 100% going to work, and she was moving more. So she was obviously going to build a bit of muscle and lose some weight. But what you don't see is, let's revisit Dolores 12 months down the line. Is Dolores still training? I highly doubt it, because Dolores has not dealt with the emotional issues that caused the weight gain and the reasons why she's hiding. And this is the 90% of people. This is why I talk about why I talk, because I understand that the foundation of everyone's weight loss and achievements and outcomes are always based on the emotions and how you feel about something, which is why I always speak about the emotion being the most important part. And it's why most people run away, because talking about emotion is exposure and it's vulnerable, and there must be an easier way. And there is for some, because some people are not in that position. There are some people out there that just can be disciplined to fuck and can be focused and can achieve these results. But I've also found a lot of these people never be truly happy. Never to really actually feel that sense of fulfillment. It's like they achieve goals and they tick boxes and they feel better about themselves for a while, but they must always seek something else. And it's almost like they must become experts. These guys, I noticed this, there's a trend, and they are highly successful businessmen. They're a lot of money. They're highly successful in their relationships, but there's something they'll always say there's just something lacking in them. They're never content. And I think that's something that people really lose focus on about training. Training should reconnect you. There should be an enjoyment level to it. Maybe there's a fear and trepidation as you walk in and you start. It's something new, it's unfamiliar. Your nervous system, the response is going to be one of threat. So you're going to respond likewise. But that's what courage is. Your courage is literally realizing there's a fear in front of you and doing what you've got to do anyway, regardless of how you feel about it. If it doesn't take, if jumping off a cliff is fun to you, then it doesn't take courage to do it. But if you're terrified of heights like me, jumping off a fucking stepladder takes courage. Courage. So courage is acknowledging the fear in front of you and doing what you must do anyway. So there will be a requirement for everyone to face their fear and become a bit more courageous and get into the gym. But they've also got to start bringing their awareness to the conversations they're having about the gym. And rather than focusing on the repetitive story they've told themselves for so many years, based on previous experiences and thoughts, they should probably focus their energy and attention towards how their training makes them feel afterwards. Because 90% of people I know that do training, after they've finished, they've enjoyed it, they've felt good, and they've connected with themselves, and they're maybe not aware, but there's a resonant feeling within them that they're taking control. And this is something that is not really spoke about your training goals, and why your training should be about betterment. If you're not a better man or woman after a sustained period of training, something's missing. You should be more mobile. You should be stronger. You should be leaner. You should be fitter. More strength. More confidence. And this is all a byproduct of the commitment. You're committing to a process. You are deciding that you're going to do something for you. And you recognize that it's going to challenge you, but that the challenge is part of the process. But don't disconnect yourselves between turning up the gym, doing the workouts, and the process of getting yourself to the gym. The battle, the conversations, this is where the awareness comes in. And it's like, this is where I sort of coach differently to a lot of people, because inside of each and every one of us, there's a journey to doing something. There's things that have to happen way before you get yourself to the gym. You've got to recognize you need to lose weight, or there's something you're not happy with, or you want to change, or you can see the betterment for yourself. And then you've got to go through that process of, you understand change is going to occur. You maybe not want to change. You're comfortable watching Netflix. You don't want to give up pizza. There's things that are going to challenge you, hurdles that you must overcome. And they could just be very small things, or they could be mountains. Each person's different. Each man or woman is going to have a different experience. But understanding that your unique journey, this is what you're creating for you, so that you can become the version of yourself that you want to become. And excuse me there. But a lot of people now, I would say this is it more girls? There's a lot of training done for validation as opposed to self-improvement. And you can see it on Instagram. It's sex sells, let's be honest. The leggings that girls have now that ride the arses to separate the arse cheeks. And girls have got these great bums, and guys have got these tight tops and all, and the tight leg shorts, wee short shorts and all, and they're Crocs. It's just, and it's always like, they're doing exercises that require bending over, or David, you're getting stuck in a fix-all answer. What? I have no idea what you're talking about, buddy. Yeah, anyway, so the girls are the guys. It's all about sexifying the workouts. It's for attention. And on an unconscious level, that brings you towards thinking that this is what you want. And I see a lot of people do this. They come into the gym wanting almost like the physique goals, even though the physique goals is not where they should be. Where they should be about improving their mobility, building a foundation of strength, getting the fitness going, their heart rate built up, connecting with the journey, going with the exercise, feeling better about themselves. And once they've established that foundation, then they can start branching off to other aspects and putting out personal challenges. Some guys may want to do a triathlon or a physique competition, or enter some powerlifting meet or something like that. But it's too many people come in with the idea of this, and they're so far removed. Where they want to be and where they need to be are completely separate entities, And it's that realizations, and this is where the awareness. And you know what? People can say I'm talking absolute shite. I don't mind. I'm doing this game there 20 years, and I'm pretty intelligent when it comes to things like this. I know patterns. I can work people out and work patterns out very easily, and I see it. And there's just this complete disconnect with what we're wanting and why we're doing it. I go back to it's about you becoming a better version of you and recognizing all aspects of the training and realizing that the gym, like if you come to the gym 3 times a week, that's 3 hours out of 168. So that's 165 hours you're not in the gym. So to pigeonhole yourself into thinking you're getting the body you're after based off 3 hours out of 168 hours, it's pretty mad. What about your sleep? One of the most crucial aspects for hormonal balancing, testosterone production, stress reduction. What about hydration? Another aspect, very important. What about the actually recognizing you're a man or woman and you're part of nature? Getting out in the land, getting out in walks, making a conscious decision that you're going to drive somewhere to the beach to go for a walk, not just going to walk around the block with the concrete and the Wi-Fi, getting yourself out of the invisible frequencies that are disrupting us and connecting with nature. It's why when you walk up a mountain or you walk on the forest of the beach, you feel better. There's a healing energy, because whether you want to accept it or not, nature, we are part of it, and it gives us an energy. What about what you're eating? How you feel about what you're eating? How you feel about you? What your thought process that occurs on the journey, on the way along this journey towards training, and how it changes. Being aware of that, because one of the biggest things about health and fitness for me is awareness. Because if you're not aware of the changes and you're not aware of the right to feel proud of your effort, then you're most likely going to be falling back into your subconscious patterns of berating yourself and putting yourself down and finding reasons to betray your efforts. And there's so many men and women out there self-sabotage and then project towards others as to why it didn't succeed. When the reality is that they would just be more aware and allowed themselves to celebrate and praise themselves. And actually, being aware of the fact you don't allow yourself to feel good about your efforts is also a telltale sign that opens another avenue. And this is the journey of exercise and what it works and how it does it. This all plays a role in you. But because we are so focused on the physical, and because we are so focused on the identity of the body being the goal of exercise, we become tunnel visioned, and we don't allow ourselves to see outside and think about the bigger picture. Exercise is about change. Gym, for me, is about community. The one thing that I know that I've created better than most is a culture, a community that's very, very supportive. And the proof is in the pudding. Most of my members are here on probably, I'd say, on average 5 to 6 years. Some guys are here with me 13, 14 years. Others are here from day one, 8.5 years ago. A lot of them 7 years. They've stayed. And a lot of members come back. There are people leave. And then after about 6-7 months, they're back. And they realise that grass wasn't greener. The grass is greener where you water it. And I pride myself in the fact that all my members, I know their names. I know their wives' names or their partners' names. I know their children. I know something that's going on in their lives, and I'm genuinely interested to know what's going on, because they're my friends. When you join Primal, you're a friend. I want to know about you, and it's not put on, or it's not like something I do consciously. It's just who I am. I like deep, meaningful conversations, and I want to know everything about everyone. So, because I know there's some way that I can get in. If I can figure out what it is that makes them tick, if I can see their patterns, and you get to know people, you see people's patterns, the better you get to know them. Well, then the more meaningful conversations you can have. And do you know, one of the things that I can tell you right now, I'm separated from my wife for 3.5 weeks now. And the one thing that I've noticed is that the members were genuinely concerned about how I was. They could see it was heavy on me. And there was meaningful conversations. There were tears and there was hugs. And there was like conversations of support. And that made me go, wow. That was phenomenal. And that's something I think that's missing so much in society, and it's so important. And it's probably, in my opinion, the catalyst for most people succeeding is this: when you actually recognize and realize that you matter to others and that there are people there who will support you. That's the human, and that's the man and woman in every one of us. That's something that unites every man and woman on earth, regardless of colour, creed, goal, job, country. It doesn't matter. That inner needing of fitting in somewhere, of belonging, or feeling, yeah, I know it. I'm here. This is nice. That's a really, really crucial aspect for success. And I'd say that's one of the biggest reasons why a lot of people are obese and unhappy, because we feel alone in this world of madness and connectivity of technology and everything at our touch of our button. The vast majority of us on a soul level feel alone. It's you're very lucky if you have that really strong support network you can fall back on, because the conversations I have with men, I know that most of us do not feel that way. And that's something that I try to cultivate in here. It's that when you're feeling down, you can just have a conversation, and loads of men do it in this gym. That's why I've got a men's circle going, because some men do that. But that, just, especially for men, not so much women, just the way we're genetically made up and the way we are, but men can shoulder their burdens. We almost take pride in that. It's like a masculine trait, I can do this, I don't need help. But we do need help. And when you're able to just offload or vent or be heard or have someone listen and maybe even challenge you in your conversation or change your mindset, it allows you to just, let go for that split second, right, that's off my chest, and then continue on. And for a lot of men, that's all we need. It's the overwhelm. When you feel you're alone, when you feel like everything's on you and you can't cope, but you've got to keep going. That's when a lot of men snap. Been there, I noticed, and that's something maybe, thank you, maybe that's something that is the reason why I do what I do the way I do it, because I know what that feels like, and maybe it's an unconscious process in me that I just don't like the thought of other men going through a similar, or feeling that they go through that journey themselves. But yeah, because like always, my talks always end up down this direction for some reason. But training goals, yeah. So lads, make the decision of what you are wanting. Where you are, actually first of all, be aware of where you are. If you're a guy who needs to lose 6 stone, 5 stone, 4 stone, 3 stone, you can't walk up the stairs without blowing out your arse, your back sore, bending down to pick up a toothbrush, you don't want to be a bodybuilder. That's not what you need. That's just Instagram creating a story in your head to sell you a product. No, what you want is to get out of bed and not be painful, not be in pain. You want to be able to run about and not look like you're about to have a heart attack. And yeah, it makes the bulletproof your body a bit and build a bit of strength. And that can happen naturally as you move your body anyway. But just make peace with you're on a calorie deficit, a lot of mobility, a lot of movement, gently to keep the heart rate going. And you're going to be doing that for a while. That's probably your best. If you want to succeed, that's where you need to be. That's where most people avoid, because that is where you're going to be exposed the most. And that's where you're going to probably feel the most vulnerable. But then that requires courage. And courage is acknowledging the fear, but doing what you got to do anyway. And that's being a man. It's called discipline. Accepting the process. Recognizing that this is almost like a karmatic value. You did something this way or something happened, but now you've got to do this. And even if it's not your fault, still your responsibility. And that's being a man. And connecting with that energy and connecting with that realization, or those realizations, that this is your process. This is your journey. When you can do that, nothing else is a problem. It's only when you can't do that that you create the problems in your life. You need to recognize that as well. You are going to be the creator of your problems. Because there isn't a problem if you can just accept what is and do what's required. There's no problem then. So when you can see that, then it's actually an empowering moment. Because that gives you the knowledge. What you do with knowledge is up, but it gives you the knowledge and recognizing that this is within your capabilities. It's just your emotional state and how you can teach yourself to connect to what you must do with the same level of desire and gusto you had about getting the bodybuilding type program when you were in denial of where you were. The excitement, because that's a feeling. That's just a feeling. That's an emotion. Explore that. Wow, okay. I was so motivated to get into that shape. Look at that six-pack. Look at that, his pecs and his shoulders, and fuck, his back's huge and his quads are massive. I was willing to spend £1,000 to get that, no problem. And then you have a conversation with me and I'm like, dude, you need to stretch and you need to, go a bit of walking and you need to eat this food and sort of give up some of that. And that was complete, that's energy. You disconnected to that. That didn't resonate with you. Thank you, sorry. But that didn't connect with you, but why not? Think about that, because a lot of men, this is a lot, I'm just using this example because it's a lot of men's issues. What was it that told you need to do the weight training and the stuff that you have classified as masculine and alpha male shit, compared to the stuff that the experienced trainer's telling you is going to make your life completely different? Why would you want to stick with the stuff that the guy who you were going to put your trust into is telling you isn't what you need right now, compared to ignoring what he said you do with his level of experience? I'm talking about me, by the way. I know from nearly 20 years of training men that the majority of men in the beginning, after 6 weeks of a focused mobility program, they are in such a better place mentally and physically, and they feel better. And feeling is the foundation. Emotion. You've got to recognize that. That's why people say, I feel great. Oh, I feel so good. I feel so rested. You don't think you're rested. You don't think you're good. You feel good. And looking good and feeling good are two completely different things. Bodybuilders look fucking amazing as far as bodybuilding goes on stage. They feel like shit. They are in the weakest, most depleted state they've ever been in, and they're standing there smiling. Right now, I feel fucking knackered. As you can see, my eyes are. I feel wrecked. I don't think I'm wrecked. I feel wrecked. You got to feel, and you recognize that we say this a lot. So you feel like you want to train like the way they're telling you want to train, because that is invoking an emotion, which is a feeling. You're looking at pictures that are stirring up a feeling within inside you that's going to create this desire for you to push the button to buy. But it's not going to make you feel brilliant long term. It's going to make you feel like shit, because you're going to be fatigued, depleted, tired, grumpy, still having to do all your work, still having to be a dad, still having to do the chores and everything else you got to do, still have to listen to the same shit that you have to listen to every day, still have to deal with the same shit you have to do every day, but you're going to be doing it from a more depleted, exhausted, fatigued state, just so you can get that photograph that ticks a box that said you lost some weight. Whereas if you were to change your attitude, change your training goals, and decide that exercise is now going to be part of just your thing to do, and you make peace with some days I'm going to feel really motivated, other days I'm not, but recognize that the days that you're not and you still get yourself to the gym are the days you grow the most, are the days you learn the most. And you do that consistently. Over time, you fundamentally change who you are. And you who are thinking the way you're thinking right now has no real concept of the potential version of you 12 months from now, of a committed, disciplined, structured training program that you just trust the process and surrender to the job. The guys that do that get the results every fucking time, without fail. There's a guy here, Peter, joined in April. What's that, 6 months, 7 months? He's down 2.5 stone. His back has become like a V. And he's just, 80% of the time, he's been here 3 days a week. And he's watched what he's at 80% of the time. He's a normal dude, has some beers, is a dad, goes to work every day, but doesn't complain, doesn't moan. May give the odd, like any guy does, but never really has any resistance towards change. Yeah, well, like every guy in this gym, they get absolutely abused for picking weights. They could do more, lighter weights than they have to. But I also recognise that's another thing that, again, something that experience has taught me. I'm watching patterns. About 6 months ago, I'd say, I stopped busting balls about lifting specific weights. And I think I was just giving up because they weren't listening to me. But I started observing. And what I recognised is there are definite skivers in my gym, and they all know who they are, and I call them out their face in front of everyone. We're that type of friends. We'll just slag each other like that. But there are guys that will lift lighter than they need to. They could go heavier. There are guys that will lift too heavy and have to reel them in. And there are guys that I've recognised, most of them in their 50s, and they lift intuitively. And I've watched them and I see them do it, and I love it. And it's really opened my eyes to a different way of coaching. And this is about the connecting and letting everyone learn themselves through sort of, it was guide learn away. Like Andy will go over his go-to weights out of 20 and 24. And you'll see him, sometimes he'll lift at 28 and he'll go, and he'll put it down and maybe go to 24. Other days he'll lift at 20 and go, nah, and he'll go to 28. And other days he'll go to 24 again. He goes by feeling. He's training now 8 years here, and he knows by just lifting a weight, if it feels like that the workout, yeah, this feels like a workout, this is the one I'm going. And I let them do what they want to do that way when they're at level, because they don't get injured. That was one of the things that I noticed. And it was a big aha moment, and it should be a big aha moment because I'm in this game 20 years. But they're not getting injured, and that's the fucking goal. My number one goal, and every trainer's number one goal, has to be, don't get your clients injured. A, it's really bad for business. But B, it's not great for reputation either. C, you're not helping your client connect with the exercise. But this message about, go hard or go home, and the Instagram lifestyle of getting validation for the big lifts and the massive loads and the effort level put in. And listen, absolutely, there's competitive sports out there. I'm a competitive guy, and I get why people are doing it. Sorry. But I don't get why the average guy, 40, 50, dad, stresses, work, etc., life to live, is being suckered into these type of things for a few likes on Facebook. One would probably be his man, another would be his wife. Maybe he's up a couple of kids. But apart from that, it's not going to change his life. But we do it. The guys here don't. And they're not getting injured. And it was a real just fuck. And the other thing is, I guarantee this year they'll all still pull PRs in their lifts, because they're still doing high volume stuff. They're still lifting weights. They're getting progressively stronger over a prolonged period of time. And that allows for a much greater scope of maneuverability in exercise. When you commit to a 12-year program, or 12-month program, or a 5-year plan, or a 12-week plan, or a 6-week plan, well, if I'm going for 5 years and I'm committing and I do it, if I take a year off over the 5 years, it's still not going to make that much of a big deal in the overall thing. Prime example, when I got my second hip replacement in 2022, February 22, I got my hip replacement, couldn't train from August 21 because I had a hernia. Up until then, I had been working up. I was pressing the 44 kg for doubles. I was clean and pressing for doubles, and the goal was to get to 48. So I stopped in August, couldn't train from August. Hip replacement in February, hernia operation in August. Probably started training-ish about a year later, maybe a bit longer. No, probably longer, probably about April 23, I started training again a bit. And then it was only January this year that I started to actually train. Within weeks, put it this way, the first day I trained, I could still press 32 kilo comfortably, even though I hadn't pressed a weight in well over a year. But that's because I've spent so many years accumulating like a certain level of strength, and that there was no real plan to accumulate that strength. It was just through repetitive workouts and different programs and different modalities, sometimes deadlifts or barbell, and then kettlebells, body weight, dumbbells, mace bells, grappling, whatever it was. It's just been, because I've spent so long, I've got a foundational level of strength, and that's what you need to recognize. A lot of you guys are looking at these guys who are lifting big weights and thinking you want to be there, not realizing they've probably been training like that from an early age, and it's pretty unrealistic where you're currently at to expect yourself to get to that point. But you will feel like a failure if you judge yourself against them, instead of being consciously aware of where you're beginning and who you are at that point. And a lot of people ignore that. See, these are all the psychological things that we don't recognize that cause the breakdowns in your journey. When you start a gym, what you're lifting is irrelevant. What your PRs are mean nothing except a marker. You connecting to this sense of failure because some guy done 20 push-ups and you're on a bench doing 5. You're missing the process here. You're missing the whole idea of it. That guy can do 20 push-ups because he might be lighter than you. He might be coming back. He might be someone like me was able to bang out 50 push-ups no problem, and now he's just come back training, so he's just getting back into it. He may be like a wiry, bricky type guy who's just got that like sinew strength. We don't know. In other words, we don't know his background. We don't know his journey. And it's very foolish of you and degrading of you to think lesser of yourself based off someone else's abilities. And it's taking your energy and attention away from what you're there to do. You're there to become a better version of you. And you're the only one that can ever be that better version of you. And if you're not focused on that, being that better version of you, because you've just seen John do something you can't yet do, you're always going to come up short. See where you're at. Get into the gym. I don't care if you're 24 stone or 8 stone. I don't care. Can you do a pull-up? No, yes. Can you do a push-up on the floor? No, yes. How many push-ups can you do if you're on the floor? Where are you, like on a rack or a regress push-up? Where are you? Do you know, how many calories can you burn in a minute on a bike? Or how far can you carry 2 16-kilo kettlebells or 20-kilo kettlebells? The markers are irrelevant. It's just like, it's literally for you to recognize your beginning, your starting point. And then you're going to go on that 6-week, 6-month, 6-year life journey, whatever you're going to do. But then you're going to come back and you're going to repeat that process, and you're going to repeat those exercises, and you're going to see the difference. Maybe you're still not doing a push-up on the floor, but maybe you've moved 8 holes down and you're banging 10 of that where you couldn't do 1 in the beginning. Or maybe you've moved from the bench and now doing 5 solid push-ups. Maybe you're halfway up from a pull-up when you started, you couldn't do it. There are so many ways you can frame the experience you're having in a more positive way to allow you to engage yourself and connect with what you're doing and recognize the benefit towards commitment and discipline. But we don't. And instead we give ourselves unrealistic goals. Most likely, in my opinion, because an unrealistic goal is going to soothe your subconscious belief that you're not worthy and you're not good enough. And by finding something that you're not going to achieve, it's going to satisfy that unconscious belief that you are not worthy of achievement and that everyone else is better than you. And that is the world that so many men live in. Trust me in this, I know it personally, and I know it from talking to hundreds and hundreds of men about these type of conversations. And if you can just shift your mindset to allow yourself to focus on you and find a gym that offers a community of support, instruction, guidance, and programming that's going to get you to where you're at, not a cookie cutter program. We have what you would call a cookie cutter program in that there's a set goal, but within every goal, within every one of those programs, everyone's doing something to their own abilities. Some guys are not doing clean and press because they're not ready to do clean and press. So we'll have them doing half kneeling single arm press because that's going to challenge their core. That's going to give them a pressing movement. Some guys can't do pull-ups, so we'll have them do regress pull-ups, or we'll have them do the pull-up machine or the lat pull-up machine. Or maybe they just need some retraction exercises, so they're going to do inverted rows or bent over rows or bat wings. There is always a way to adapt the exercises when you train with me. Don't know about anyone else. I know a lot of my good friends would be the similar way. But in order for that to happen, you need to find a coach that understands what it is you need and can deliver it in a way that satisfies the wants. A coach can give you what you need. A good coach will give you what you want. A great one can do both. And that comes from experience. That comes from having more tools in your toolbox. I don't focus on exercises. I focus on movement patterns and principles. If everyone's doing a deadlift, then you're going to be feeling left out because you're not ready for deadlifts. But I can prep your body for deadlifts by starting you on hip thrusts or goat bag swings or teaching you the fundamental patterns of the kettlebell swing. I can find a way to get you doing a hinge pattern, which is what a deadlift is, in a way that's going to be more beneficial for you from where you currently are at. And as long as I can articulate why we're doing what we're doing and let you see the bigger picture, because you're going to be like this, I'm going to be thinking bigger picture because I've got more experience and understanding what you need and how to deliver it. It allows you to feel part of the group. There's nothing worse than coming into a group and feeling like you're shut in the corner doing something completely different to everyone else. It disrupts the energy and it makes you feel less part of something, which is the whole part of joining the community type gym. You want to feel part of something, you want to feel connected, you want to feel like you are a contributing member. So it's important that you get brought into that. And it's like rotation. You need the rotation. You need push, pull, squat, hinge, carry, rotation, lunge. And then if you want to break it down, vertical, horizontal, push, pull. So when we focus on patterns and movements, principles, and because I've got so much experience with so many modalities, I'm able to just grab this, borrow a bit of this over here and throw a bit in and make a cake without weighing out the ingredients. I just know what I'm doing now. And that's for me, that's a very important part of getting someone moving, of getting someone feeling like they're doing something right, that it's worthwhile. They're going to leave going, oh, feel like I've worked out. Which, again, I feel like I've worked out. As long as you feel like it's working, then you're going to connect more to it. We can have the conversations the next day about how sore you are and why you're sore and what we can do to eliminate the soreness and just connecting with the reality of, I call it like a penance, you know. Yeah, your body, you have abused your body in that you haven't moved it in 20 years. There's a price to be paid here for moving it in a gym-like environment. And there's probably going to be a price to pay when you don't listen to your coach when he says to you, that's enough for you today. That's a hint for you, lads. When I walk up to you and you're only here a few weeks or whatever, and I go, that'll probably do you today. Or you maybe here a few months or whatever, and maybe one day I just walk on and go, I think that'll be enough for you today. There's a reason I'm not doing it just to get rid of you. I'm doing it because there's a method in my madness. I can see something you can't. I can recognise how hard you've put. I've been watching you. I've seen your effort. Whether that effort be how many days you've shown up, the effort you've put in, the weight you're moving, the intensity you're moving at. That's what a good coach does. We don't have to tell you it all the time. We're just observing it. And some days we'll see you work really hard and you're exhausted and you're flat. You're not your usual self. I'll tell you, that's not that. I think you just leave it tonight. You know what? Take a couple of days off. There's many times I've told the members, it's Wednesday. I don't want to see you back here the next Wednesday. Why is it? Because my job as the coach is to see what you're doing, to recognise the patterns that you're doing that you don't even recognise yourself, and to adjust the training so that it gets you the best possible results, not just gives you a workout to soothe your ego. And for a lot of guys, the conversations we're having, the conversations they've been telling me, they're just on a deadline. They're struggling. I'm back, James. Yes, I'm back, mate. How are you feeling today, buddy? But they're struggling. There's a deadline to meet, or they're labour-intensive work, or they're having problems in their wife, or I know something. Their dad's sick, and you can see that's all stress. And they're coming into the gym to try to escape, but they're beasting themselves. Maybe that's what they need that day. Emotionally, maybe they just need to forget, so you let them go. But then the second day they come in, they beast themselves again. You're like, right, okay. Third day, you cut them short, and you're like, dude, you need to take time for yourself. That's what coaching is. That's the difference between paying for a gym just to get exercise and paying to be coached. There's a big, big difference. But I don't think a lot of people recognise that. I think everyone thinks it's like, to the average man, a doctor's just a doctor. But somewhere in that class of doctors, there was a guy or girl finished top, and there was a guy or girl finished bottom. We just call them doctors. We don't know how good they are. We just put our trust in them because they've got labels. PT, oh, he's a coach. Oh, he's a coach. He's a PT. Oh, he's qualified. We just assume, oh, he's got his own gym. So do most drug dealers. You know, it's how it is these days. A coach, a good coach, someone who knows you intrinsically and can see what you need and can point out your flaws, whether you want to accept it or not, whether you decide to run with his advice or take it as an attack and avoid it, that's your call, that's your body, it's your decision, it's your life. But having a quality coach that can see these things and knows how to articulate them and has the ability to maneuver, because a lot of guys in this gym, they're just tired and they don't need to stop. They just need, do you know what? Let's take you off this program. You're going to do this for a bit. Why? It's just because I can see you're tired, and you know what? You're moving stiff, and it's not working here. This isn't what you need. Remember, your exercise is meant to be about improvement, and it's all about finding that balance. There's a cost to everything you do. And if you're beating yourself to try to get in shape, the cost of that is, especially as you get older, your body's going to be battered and bruised, and it's going to take longer to recover, and it's going to be more challenging, and you're more risk of injury, and you've got to accept that nothing in life's linear. It doesn't work like that. It's undulating. Up and down, up and down, up and down. Everything's undulating like that. And your training has to undulate as well. Oh, being fucking knocked off, am I? Your training has to undulate as well. So there'll be times where life's going good, you're eating well, sleep's on point, you and the missus are getting on brilliantly, money's coming in, you're just feeling top of the world, and you've got energy. Fucking go for it. Recognise it. Go hard at it. But then recognise when going hard at it no longer is beneficial, and what's going to be more beneficial is maybe taking a rest for a week, giving yourself a solid week. Professional fighters, when we were fighting, like you would train to peak for the show, he didn't train for a month. He didn't train for a month. And you know what? Taking a month off, you might come in after a week or so and just do some light techniques, drilling, moving. But there was no focus on like combos, bam, 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 none of that shit. There was no lifting weights. It was just, you would come in and do a light grapple. Well, light grapple for guys in their 20s usually meant going at it. But compared to the workload you were doing, it was a massive deload. And that would give you time to recover and recuperate. And a lot of us need that. A lot of us need to be more aware, more consciously aware of how we're feeling at any given time, what's going on in our lives, how we're eating, how we're sleeping, all the effects hormonally, emotionally, chemically it's having upon us. Then asking, you need to be able to ask yourself, is it right for me right now to do this, or do I need more of that? That's what you got to be thinking of. But anyway, I'm going to go here, lads. Have a good day, and I'll speak to you all later.